GameStop today was back at it again, up over 40% on the day. I'll point out some key levels to look out for this week, but before we get into that, there's the closing bell, guys. With the S&Ps down about 20 points, you can clearly feel the weight from the Nasdaq today that's down close to 3%. However, over in the Dow, it's making fresh all-time highs. Now, when we take a look at the SPX, we were coming into this week expecting 100 points. We were positive for most of the day, however, we're sliding negative in the final minutes of trade. Our upper edge on the week is 39.42, and our lower edge this week is 37.42. Now, just taking a look at it from a daily, taking a look at these S&P futures, things are getting a bit rocky. You can just clearly see after seeing a nice candle on Friday, we're rolling back over. Now, that's largely due to the Nasdaq. Just taking a look at the Nasdaq, it's down 2.8% in these futures right now. When we throw it on the expected move for this week, our lower edge in the Nasdaq is 12,283. So we're just about 30 points from this lower edge on the week. It should place some solid support for a relief bounce. We'll keep our eyes on that level in tomorrow's session. Remember the number 12,283. Now, as for the Russell 2000, it's positive on the day. Taking a look at it from the daily, it's putting in a solid day. Volume's kind of light. However, with the Russell being up, it tells us that there's strength from other sectors in the marketplace today. Even the Dow, which I don't like to talk about, is putting in all-time highs. Now, the Dow is just a small sample of 30 stocks, but you can see it put an all-time high very briefly in today. However, it did sell off after around lunch. But for the most part, the Dow was our leading index on the day. So when we take a look at some of the sectors across the board, today the utility sector was leading, up 1.41%. What was right behind that? Well, the materials up 1.3%, financials about in the same boat, 1.3%. Even the XLE was green, up 0.2%. Outside of that, we see software stocks really bleeding, down 1.74%. You can see a sizable volume out of this ETF. Now, this isn't a very popular ETF, but you can notice some big players getting in and getting out in this ETF, as well as the XLK, the technology sector, down 2.42%. However, our big five was down close to 2.7%, which tells us these big tech names, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, are all being taken to the cleaners, as well as Tesla that's broken a key level. However, the story here is into value stocks. Now, this is the value ETF, and you can see it's up 1.17%, putting in fresh all-time highs. And notice the volume coming into this value ETF. On a year to date, it's up 10%. However, on the flip side, we take a look at the growth ETF, and it's down 2.29% on the year. We just take a look at this, and you can clearly see growth is selling off and value is being pumped higher. We're seeing a rotation happening before our eyes, and that's largely due to rising bond yields. Now, just taking a look at everything across the board, you just see those big tech names and growth stocks are the only ones in the heavy red. And we're seeing value names like financials and utilities and industrials that are getting some nice bids coming into them. So with our indexes mixed and technology selling off, however the financials are up, how did the bonds break down today? And taking a look at the 30-year bonds, they're down close to 0.5%. After trying to find a floor on Friday, we're rolling back over, just taking a look how it traded. Not much going on here. As for the TNX, it was up close to 3%, sitting near a 1.6% yield on this 10-year Treasury bond. When we zoom out a bit, we could potentially be forming a new home in this area. Between the 1.5 to the 1.7, you can see there's some decent history in this price range. We could potentially spend maybe a few weeks in this area, or ultimately we can just blow through that. But keeping our eyes on what this yield does is going to be big for what these growth technology stocks will do in the coming weeks. As for volatility, taking a look at the VIX futures, the VIX futures are up 1.39%. Taking a look at it intraday, seeing a little bit of a bid in the end of the day. When we take a look at the VVIX, however, it is down 0.55%, but it was getting a slight bid. Overall, in the VVIX, it's down around 115 on the day. However, it's by no means still elevated, and we'll look to see what volatility does in the coming days. A weird day in the markets. Let's see what's up in the dollar index, see how the commodities broke down, and talk a little bit about Bitcoin. Taking a look at the dollar index, it's continuing where it left off from last week, up nearly 0.5%. The dollar has broken into the 92 handle, so the dollar is strengthening due to rising yields on these bonds. How'd it do for our commodities? Well, crude oil today retreated down 2%. However, our energy sector was still green on the day. Crude has just been on fire. It's cooling off a bit. Maybe it pulls back before going higher. We'll like to see some consolidation here in crude. As for gold, with the strengthening dollar, gold continues to get clobbered, down 1.24%, $21. It's sitting at $16.77. Gold just can't find a bid to save its life. Just looking at it on a weekly, it's not looking pretty for the precious metal. Maybe the spotlight's being taken from Bitcoin, which, speaking of Bitcoin, it is up close to 5% on the day. We held solid over the weekend, over 48K range. Now we're breaking higher near 52K. 51.2K is a Fibonacci. And I want to show you some of my charts on TradingView. Now this is a 4-hour candle right here. I like to look at the Coinbase chart, and you can just see some of the levels across the board. This 52K seems like a solid level. If we can break that, we could potentially go higher. I'm looking at here right on the 4-hour, the 12th. Signals a lot of volatility. If we can hold this line, that's very bullish, and we take a look at it on a daily. This is the date I'm really talking about, and it's on the 16th. So holding this line could be potentially go time for Bitcoin in next week's trade. With a stimulus bill on the horizon, who knows what happens here in Bitcoin. There you have it for the stock market breakdown. So over the weekend, we saw the Senate pass the COVID relief bill. Now it's up to the House, which should be voting on it around Wednesday for it to get approved. If that gets through, we should be looking at a fresh $1.9 trillion to hitting this marketplace, which should be good for many stocks across the board. However, as technology continues to fall, growth names stocks are really taking a hit due to the rising yield on these bonds. We'll see how much higher this yield can rise. If the bonds find a floor, some great technology names are on sale, and they should be scooped up. However, until the yield decides what it wants to do, are we going to sit in this 1.6 area? And if it does, maybe it's time to buy some stocks like Apple, Amazon, Google. However, with the VIX relatively quiet, it'll be interesting to see how this week unfolds, especially how it started off in the Nasdaq. But enough of the macro, let's take a look at the trending stock of the day, and today that was GameStop. GameStop today was up 41% with a market cap of $13.5 billion. On a year to date, GameStop is up 1,027%. So GameStop is 10xing since the start of the year. Why is GameStop up today so large? Well, the company said that Ryan Cohen is chairing a new committee towards transforming the retail into a tech business. Clearly the stock loved that. The volume is surging today. Where are we going to go this week? Taking a look at the options chain's expected move, we priced in about a $38 expected move on the week. 175.84 was our upper edge, which we're clearly about $20 higher than that right now. So what does a 2 standard deviation look? Well, we throw some drawings up on here, throw it on an intraday, and just see how this thing traded. A 1.5 standard deviation is going to be around 195, which is right where we're camping out right now at a 1.5 sig. If we do get going in tomorrow's session, this 2 standard deviation on the week at 213.94, call it 214. We got rejected up in this area, as well as a 38% Fibonacci. That's at 208.3. Taking a look at this from a bigger picture, here are the levels to look out for this week in GameStop. Now, 2 standard deviations should place some solid resistance at around 214, but with this stock, who knows how high this stock can climb. But if you're going to go off of what the options market is pricing in, it's hard to get above 214, and if we do, this stock should soar. There you have it for the trending stock today, and that was GameStop. Where do you see this stock going this week? I'd love to hear where you think this stock could end up by Friday's session, but if you've watched this far, I really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up button. It means a lot when you guys show some support, and if you're watching me for the first time, I do these breakdowns every single day. Show some love and hit that subscribe button. It really mean a lot to me. But on that note, have any comments, questions, feedback, leave it down below and I'll get back to you. Other than that, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Have a great night. Take care. Peace!